Hiya crafters! Today I'm going to double it up with some stencils and show you a masking technique. So here I'm showing you the stencils that I'm going to be using from A Colorful Life Designs. We have Fan Party, and then this masking set, which is a 6x6, contains all the positive and negative pieces, and it's called Marvelous Masks Schmancy Oval. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's worth it, guys. Anyway, so you'll see the positive and negative space that you get with this kit, and I'm just using the second to the largest opening and kind of lining that up on my A2 size card base. That is 110-pound cardstock Neenah Classic Crest, and I have this well-loved floral stamp set from Concord and Ninth. It's called Hello Lovely, and I do have the coordinating dies, which I will be using one of later on in this card. I have some ink pads from Catherine Pooler. This is the Zen Garden of the Spa collection, and I'm just picking some of those mini ink pads to do some blending with. And my first step is to line up this schmancy oval on my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station right on top of my card base. So I'm kind of making sure all the margins are even. I don't actually have pixie spray. That is an option should you want to use it, but I'm basically just using this mix of colors just to kind of lay down some rich deep color in this opening. And as you can see, the rest of the card front is going to be masked off by that stencil and will be a nice bright white. So I'm just working through the colors. I have kind of it's almost like a corally red. Then I'm going into this rose type of color. I will link all of the products below in the video description box. So if you expand and scroll down, you'll find the links in my coupon for the stencils and all that good stuff there. So I'm kind of working on to this purple color from the pink. I'm somewhat mindful of color theory here, but I did want to try and incorporate some green just for leaves. But by the time I got done with this purple color, I'm like, what was I thinking? The green isn't gonna look good. So, and it was kind of weird on the bottom tip. So I decided to take out that stone blue color and then just kind of go over the green, and then that would blend in much better with the purple right above it. So I liked it so much, I actually went over the red on the top and kind of darkened that up a little bit and thought, oops, did I just mess this up? But I just kind of dropped in a little bit more ink, and then it just blended out, and it ended up really pretty. I liked how the colors turned out. Now, my lighting in my craft room is pretty terrible, so you'll see the finished picture at the end with natural lighting, and you can see just how vibrant and rich these colors are from Catherine Pooler. So you can see here I'm covering up the space that I just ink blended with the inner portion of the mask. And that's the beauty of, and versatility honestly, of these types of stencil sets. You can do so many different things. And I did have a little bit of residual pixie spray on it, so that's what is kind of helping it hold in place. I could have added more, but honestly I was just being lazy and it seemed to work fine. I used my brayer to press it down, and I'm having the magnets hold it in place. Now what I'm doing here, I just have some residual gray or black already on my blending brush because, you know, I'm not always cleaning them, and I know I'm going to come back to it eventually. So I'm just using some gray that's already on there and kind of going lighter in spots and darker in spots. I don't want it to be too crazy, but there you go. See my little happy hands? I was so excited with how it turned out. I thought it looked so pretty. But that inner portion of the mask really kept that really colorful part in the center from being touched by that fan mask. So now I'm lining up this beautiful floral from Concord and Ninth. And you could, if you wanted to, you could lay down that outer portion of the mask again and then only keep the floral in the really colorful part in the center. But I wanted the lines of the, you know, leaves and things like that to kind of come off the side of that ink blended portion in the middle. So that's why I did that. But that is another beautiful option with these masking stencils, is if you just want your stamped image to only be in that inner masked portion, then you certainly have that flexibility with this type of stencil. So I'm just stamping it down a couple times with a rich black pigment ink, And I'm kind of looking at my options in terms of sentiments, and then I remember, oh yeah, I have this lovely die that's in the coordinating die set. So I cut that out of some kind of a matte gold cardstock, and then I'm figuring out where I want to put the hello. So it says hello lovely. Now I know going into it, I'm looking at the thickness of the font on that hello, and I'm like, it's probably not going to stand out on this background, but I wanted to give it a try. I was being a bit lazy here, so I thought, well, if I stamp it and it looks rubbish, I'll just cover it up with, a cutout sentiment anyway. So we went for it, right? So I stamped it down here just to see if it would work, using that same black pigment ink. And yeah, as I suspected, no dice. It doesn't stand out enough. So back to square one. I grab a little piece of black cardstock and my embossing tool from the Rabbit Hole Designs and kind of brush some of that powder on it so that the embossing powder sticks only where I want it to. And then I just freehand stamp that hello onto that black cardstock with a little stamping block. And I decided to kind of move it up towards the top of the rectangle because I realized it was a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be, and I knew I would cut it down. So I just coat that with the white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and then bust out my heat tool and cook that embossing powder just to make it a nice bright white sentiment on that black cardstock. I decided to frame it with that same gold, matte gold cardstock just to give it a little bit of continuity. And then I'm looking at how thin those letters are and just anticipating my frustration of liquid glue oozing out the side. So I get this little Xyron sticker maker. Now, as you can see, I totally almost botched it, trying to squeeze it in there. I knew that might happen, but I don't know, the little bend in the Y when all was said and done was worth it to me not to have to fight with the liquid glue on this dainty little die cut. So, I mean, you do you guys. I have a bit of a love-hate with liquid glue. It makes me very angry on the regular. So this is my solution here. I have my little picker tool. You'll get some adhesive strings when you use these sticker makers, but usually I find if I kind of run that pokey tool through the openings, it really kind of grabs onto the adhesive and snaps it back out of the way, so it looks neater. So this was my solution to avoid using liquid glue with this dainty little die cut. But you could of course use like a stick it backed paper or something like that before you die cut it. I mean, or adhesive spray. You got all sorts of options, but this is just what I chose to do to put it together today. And so I'm laying down that hello that I had heat embossed, and then kind of draped the L over it just a little bit. And then basically I just used my bone folder just to kind of push down the little bends that I created when I crammed it through my sticker maker. And I have some pretty gold sequins here. I'm just going to lay down a little bit of bling and some, odd numbers, just because it's more pleasing to the eye and it's my preference. So I have small, medium, large, and I kind of just sprinkle those all around the card here. Nothing too exciting. I will use the liquid glue for that. That is acceptable. But anyway, here's my finished card. If you hang around for just a second, you'll see the better photo with the beautiful color of these Catherine Pooler inks. But you can see it's very low profile. Should be easy to ship. I didn't really want to do a lot of dimension because the scene itself was the wow factor, right? So I had a lot of fun, as I always do, with these masking sets. Mary Kay at acolorfullifedesigns has a whole bunch of different sets of these marvelous masks, all different shapes and sizes and all sorts of stencil goodness. So be sure to check out the shop. I will link all the information below. And don't forget my coupon. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'll check you next time. Bye.